let's animate the villain falling to the floor. We'll start by having her translate over a bit more. And to make sure that we get the distance correct, it's just a matter of scrubbing before that time just to feel the action. So we'll have her fly over on frame 26. Let's go in and grab all of her arm and leg controls and the center of gravity as well. Make sure to grab the elbows and the knees. Okay, great. So at this point, we can now go ahead and start to translate her over. And she is starting to fall here, so let's go ahead and bring her down a bit. Then at that point, we can check things in the top view. So when she flies back, it doesn't appear to look crooked. And if that is the case, you could always go ahead and, of course, just translate her over to fix the path of action. All right, I like that. Let's just double check here. Great. All right, so let's go ahead and have her start twisting around. We'll go to the Z-axis and we'll rotate her almost as if she's spun around fully, but not quite, because that would look unnatural if her back was parallel to the floor at this point, or even as she hits. Instead, we'll add more appeal by having her hit at an angle, and then once that happens, she then rolls over to her side, and that will be the end of her animation. All right, great. So again, I've just spun her around, and now we could have her rotate down some in the Y-axis here. Okay, great. So now we need to start bringing the legs around. So I'll go ahead and grab the right leg control. Go ahead and translate that around. You can go ahead and spin this control around as well. And then start to tweak the knee control. All right, let's do the same thing for the left leg. Let's swing that around and then adjust the feet. Okay. I'll rotate them out in the X-axis for follow-through. And then selecting them both, we can start to translate them over. All right, great. Let's take a look. I might want to open them out some more because they're close together on 23. Let's go ahead and have them start just opening up here as she starts to fall. So I'll go ahead and grab the right leg and bring that over a bit more. And I'll translate the left leg down so it's closer to the floor. At that point, we'll just need to fix the orientation of the ankles. And then we can go ahead and make some fine-tune adjustments to the knees to fix their orientation. So I'm just bringing the right knee up a bit more and over. And taking a look at the left knee, might bring that up a bit higher as well. Okay, great. I think we're just about finished with the legs. And now we can go ahead and take a look at her torso. Here, let's go ahead and have that rotate down some. And then for her head, I'll just rotate it up a bit. It's already gotten to an extreme on 23, so we need to have that start loosening up some. Then for the hips, may consider just rotating them out to open them up a bit more here. I'll go back to the torso just to fix the line of action. The upper body, I'll just rotate in the y-axis a bit. Great. Now for her arms, let's go ahead and start with the sword arm. Again, remember, she's twisting around here. Let's go ahead and bring that over. I'll also tweak the elbow control, bringing that around. I'll go back to the arm and just rotate that in so that the sword is now pointing towards the floor. And we'll just go ahead and just translate that arm over. We don't want the sword pointed down to the floor. We just want it kind of out because she's starting to open up here. So I'm just looking at the position of her forearm and making sure that the wrist flows well with the line of action that the forearm creates. Then I'll go to the shoulder and start to tweak that, bring that up and over. Okay, great. So let's scrub through. Let's go ahead and start to tweak the left arm. That will need to be brought around. When it comes time to polish, we'll need to make sure that it does swing around naturally. Here, we'll just go ahead and just translate that down and over. And then start to tweak the elbow. Bringing that down as well. All right, and then at that point, we can just go to the arm and start to fine-tune this further. I'll go to the wrist. Start to fix this. Rotating that around. Beautiful. And then we can have it point towards the floor. Just rotating it down in the x-axis. Great. All right, so for our shoulder here, let's go back to the shoulder control. I'll go ahead and drop it in the z-axis, and then we can go to the modify panel and start to tweak our controls to get our volume back. Beautiful. All right, so guess what? By the next frame, she hits the floor. So let's go ahead and do that. And that will happen a few frames after on frame 29. So again, we'll just go through and grab the legs, the arms, the center of gravity. And then we'll go ahead and have her back hit the floor. We need to make sure that everything follows through. So her back hits, and then we can have the rest of her body hit and come to rest. But only when it's time. All right, so on frame 29 here, let's go ahead and translate her down so that she now touches the floor. Let's scrub through to make sure that the path of action is correct. Great. And now we could have her center of gravity twist over just slightly here. And then I'll also rotate it down. Yes, she's going through the floor, but we're just getting the angle we'd like to see in the torso. So at that point, we can go ahead and translate her up. Go to the chest control. and then rotate that up and kind of twist it over to the side on the z-axis. I'll go back to the center of gravity and just bring that up a bit more so she's not going through the floor. Great. I'll go ahead and zero out the neck and head. I like to do that just because it's a nice way to start back from the beginning with these controls, to kind of refresh them so they're easier to pose. Then I'll just go to the head control and rotate that up. Then we'll go to the neck and do the same thing, kind of bring that up a bit. All right, great. Now for her legs, you can see we're also getting some twisting in the arms. We'll fix that. But let's go ahead and bring her legs up, and let's make sure that the line of action is really interesting here. So I'll swing the knee around. We'll go to her ankle and twist that around. Okay, great. Then also go ahead and bring up the leg so that the knee is closer to the torso. Okay, and then we can start to tweak the left leg almost the same way, as if the knees are starting to push into the chest on this fall. All right, so I'll go ahead and start to tweak the leg now, swinging that around. Oh, let me go ahead and undo that back, because I did want to make sure that we grab the leg control and not the foot twist controls. All right, great. So bringing that over, we can then start to go back and tweak the knee, and then go back to the leg control and twist that. Beautiful. All right, remember, we need to make sure that the knee pushes in a bit. We also want to avoid twinning in the legs, so let's make sure that we have a nice looking pose by the end of this. I'd say it's just about there. I'll go back to the right leg and bring that out. I'll also bring out the knee control. All right, great. And then we can go to the leg control and start to tweak the left side here so that we have a cooler looking pose. Great. All right, so now it's time to start tweaking the arms. So I'll start with the left arm, just bringing that up. And that starts to correct the twisting. And then for the elbow, I actually have that brought up for some follow through here. I'll go back to the shoulder control. Just taking a look, I might want to rotate that up a bit so it's not going through the floor. And then we can start to correct the twist by just zeroing those two channels out. All right, so the last thing we need to tweak is the sword arm. Let's go ahead and take care of that. And here, remember, she's opening up, so I'm just going to go ahead and just translate this over to the side. And now have the sword point upward at an angle. Okay, great. I'll also have the wrists rotate back. And then we can take a look at her shoulder here. Hasn't quite touched the floor just yet, but looks like we may need to go in and tweak the twist channels. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll tweak A and B. Beautiful. All right, so we have now posed the villainess hitting the floor. This is looking really cool. So let's go ahead and stop the lesson here, and in the next lesson we will start to finalize her blocking pass.